You ever look back at your life and wonder how much of yourself you gave up for someone else? That's me. That's my story. Before I continue the story, kindly like this story, subscribe and tell us where you listening from. I had dreams once, you know. I wanted to study architecture. I used to sketch buildings on scraps of paper when I was a kid. Whole cities, even. My teachers said I had the mind for it. But somewhere along the way, those dreams weren't mine anymore. They became hers, my little sister's. She was the golden one, the bright star in our family. Everyone loved her, and rightly so. She was smart, ambitious, beautiful. I don't blame them. But brilliance isn't cheap, not in a world like ours. Tuition, books, hostel fees, none of that comes free. My parents couldn't afford it. So, I stepped in. I told myself, you can put your dreams on hold. She deserves this shot. You'll figure yours out later. That later never came. I worked nights in a factory where the machines screamed louder than my thoughts. I cleaned offices before the sun came up, pushing carts full of trash while other people in suits sipped coffee. I even drove a taxi during weekends, watching couples stumble in drunk at 2 a.m., laughing about lives I couldn't afford to have. Every paycheck, every tip, every crumpled bill went straight to her tuition. I remember counting coins in my palm to buy instant noodles while transferring whole chunks of my salary into her account. My shoes had holes in them, but she wore new sneakers on campus. I didn't care. Not then. Because I believed. I believed I was building something. Not for me, but for her. I imagined the day she would graduate, cap on her head, degree in her hand. I thought I'd be standing there, clapping the loudest, with tears in my eyes, knowing all the sacrifices weren't wasted. That thought kept me alive. There were nights I wanted to quit. Nights I stared at my reflection, sunken eyes, calloused hands, back aching, and asked myself, why are you doing this? But then I'd remember her smile when she called me, excited about some lecture she attended or a project she aced. She'd say, brother, I couldn't have done this without you. And that was enough. At least, that's what I thought. When her final year came around, I doubled my hours. I didn't want money to be the reason she stumbled at the finish line. I missed birthdays, weddings, even funerals. I just worked. My savings drained faster than I could refill them, but I kept going, fueled by this picture in my head, me, in the crowd, proud, clapping. And finally, the day came. Her graduation. I remember ironing the only shirt I owned that didn't look like it had fought a war. It still had a faint stain on the cuff, but I told myself nobody would notice. I bought her a small bouquet with the last cash in my pocket. Roses, because she once told me roses made her feel special. As I walked onto campus that day, I swear my heart was heavier than my steps. Everywhere I looked, families were beaming, parents taking pictures with their kids in gowns. Laughter filled the air. Pride, joy, hope, it was everywhere. And for once, I felt like I belonged there too. I kept rehearsing what I would say to her. Something simple. I'm proud of you. You did it. Maybe she'd hug me. Maybe she'd even cry. God, I was so stupidly excited. But, and this is where my story takes a turn. See, what I didn't know was that this day, this one day I thought would validate everything I had ever given up, was about to crush me. To strip me bare in front of everyone. I spotted her from a distance, cap tilted, gown flowing, her friends surrounding her. She looked radiant, like she was glowing from the inside out. I raised my hand, roses trembling slightly, and started walking towards her. But the closer I got, the stranger her expression became. Her smile faded. Her eyes narrowed. She tilted her head as if she didn't recognize me. Then, in front of her friends, her new world, she said words that still burn holes in me to this day. She said, "What are you doing here?" Her friends laughed, not knowing who I was. One of them whispered something, and she chuckled nervously. Then she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You shouldn't be here. You never wanted the best for me." I froze. My throat went dry. I wanted to speak, to tell her the bouquet in my hand was bought with the last of my money, that the shoes on her feet were there because I skipped meals. But before I could, she turned to the security guard standing nearby. "Get him out of here," she said. Just like that. And in seconds, rough hands were on my arms, dragging me away, my roses crushed against my chest. Her friends laughed louder. She turned her back. That was the moment my world cracked. I stumbled out of that campus, humiliated, broken, a joke in the eyes of strangers. The bouquet slipped from my hand onto the pavement. My sister, the one I had given everything for, had just thrown me away like trash. I walked home with nothing but the echo of her words in my head. And yet, as painful as that day was, it was only the beginning. Because betrayal cuts deep, but sometimes, just sometimes, it carves a space inside you for something darker to grow. And trust me when I say this, the person I was before that day died outside that campus gate. You know how sometimes, you expect a slap, but instead, you get stabbed. That was me on her graduation day. When the guard's hands closed around my arms, I thought it was some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe she was joking, maybe I misheard. I even laughed a little, awkward, waiting for her to stop them and say, "Wait, that's my brother." But the words never came. No. Instead, she turned her face away, like she couldn't even stand to look at me. The crowd was watching. I could hear snickers, whispers. One guy muttered, "Probably some beggar." And in that moment, I wasn't her brother. I wasn't the man who kept her fed, clothed, educated. I was a nobody. Worse than a nobody. The roses slipped from my hand, petals scattering across the concrete like pieces of me breaking apart. The guards shoved me toward the gate, their grip rough, their voices sharp, "Keep moving, old man. Don't make a scene." But how could I not? My throat burned with words I couldn't swallow. I paid for this. Every class. Every book. Every single step she took to get here, that was me. But all that came out was silence. I remember looking back, desperate, hoping she'd glance my way. Just once. Just enough to let me know I hadn't completely wasted my life on her. But she was laughing. Smiling with her friends like nothing happened. Do you know what that does to you? To see the person you bled for erase you in a single breath. It doesn't just hurt. It kills something inside you. By the time they tossed me out through the gates, my legs were shaking. My chest felt hollow. I staggered down the street, my eyes blurry, and for the first time in years, I cried. Not the quiet kind either, the ugly, broken kind that makes your whole body tremble. People stared, some even smirked, but I didn't care. What was left to care about? All I had to my name that day was humiliation. And a question gnawing at me, why? Why would she do that? Why would my own sister, the girl I raised like my own child, look me in the eye and say I never wanted the best for her? I couldn't eat that night. I couldn't sleep. I sat on my bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying it over and over in my head like a cursed film reel. And the more I thought, the darker my thoughts became. I told myself maybe she was pressured by her friends, maybe she was embarrassed by how I looked. Cheap clothes, worn shoes, hair unkempt from working overtime. Maybe she didn't want them to know she had a brother who smelled like sweat and cheap soap. But no excuse was enough. Not for the words she said. Not for calling the guards on me like I was a stranger trespassing in her life. The next morning, I dragged myself out of bed. I told myself, just forget it, keep moving. But something inside me refused to let go. That moment, that betrayal, it clung to me like poison in my veins. And here's the part that'll shock you, I still loved her. After all that, I still wanted to believe she didn't mean it. That maybe, just maybe, there was an explanation. But love blinds you. And that blindness nearly destroyed me. Because days later, when I opened my bank account, what little savings I had left, I found something that twisted the knife even deeper. Transactions. Payments. Subscriptions. All in her name. All using my account. Extra courses, workshops, application fees for jobs she hadn't even told me about. She'd been building her future behind my back with the very account she pretended didn't exist. And suddenly, it all made sense. The betrayal wasn't just public humiliation. It wasn't just words on graduation day. She had been using me long before that, bleeding me dry silently, secretly, even as she pretended I wasn't worth acknowledging in front of her new world. That discovery, it changed me. Because hurt can make you cry. But betrayal? Real betrayal, it sharpens you. It hardens something in your chest. It whispers in your ear, no more. That's when the tears dried. That's when I stopped being the fool who sacrificed everything for her smile. That's when the seed of revenge was planted. I didn't sleep for days after the graduation. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that look of disgust when she told the guards to drag me away. Her voice echoing in my skull, "You never wanted the best for me." I thought pain would fade with time. It didn't. It just mutated into something else. So, one night, I sat down with my old laptop. The same one I'd used to transfer tuition payments, scrape together bills, track every miserable dollar I earned. I told myself I just wanted to check my account balance, maybe see how much I had left. But deep down, I think I was looking for something else. What I found, I wasn't ready for. At first, it was small things. Payments I didn't remember making. $30 here, $70 there. Nothing that screamed fraud. But the more I scrolled, the more the numbers piled up. Online courses. Exam prep packages. Career workshops with fancy names. Even membership fees for exclusive recruitment platforms. All charged to my account. Her name was on the receipts. My sister. Do you understand the weight of that moment? I wasn't just humiliated on graduation day. I wasn't just abandoned. No. I'd been played. Used. She'd been building her bright future, step by step, on the backbone of my sacrifice, and she didn't even have the decency to tell me. I sat there staring at the screen, my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. My hand shook over the mouse. I scrolled faster, desperate, angry, and the more I saw, the more it burned. Hundreds. Thousands. Not only had she drained me dry, but she was still trying to climb higher on my back. That's when it hit me, her betrayal wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't some emotional slip on graduation day. No, she had cut me off publicly because she didn't need me anymore. I was just the stepping stone she couldn't wait to kick away once she thought she'd crossed the river. But here's the thing about stepping stones, they don't always stay still. Sometimes they sink. And if you're standing on them when they do, you go down with them. I leaned back in my chair, my room dark except for the glow of the laptop screen. My head was spinning, but my heart was strangely calm. Cold, even. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about her dreams. I wasn't thinking about her future. I was thinking about me. And in that cold silence, an idea began to form. What if I pulled the ground out from under her? All those shiny courses, those career networks, those job applications she thought would catapult her into success, what if they vanished overnight? What if she realized that the account she bled dry belonged to me, and me alone? The thought tasted like fire on my tongue. Dangerous. Addictive. I clicked through my account options. With a few keystrokes, I could shut it all down. Withdraw everything. Close every door she had forced open with my name. But I didn't do it right away. No, revenge isn't something you rush. Revenge is like wine. You let it sit. You savor the anticipation. So I waited. I waited and watched. I started piecing together a timeline of her betrayal. Every email, every subscription, every hidden corner where she had tied her future to my sacrifice. And the deeper I dug, the more I realized, she hadn't planned on stopping. There were scheduled payments for the next month. And the one after that. She thought I'd keep carrying her, even after she spat on me. That was the moment I smiled. A real smile. Not the broken, bitter kind I'd worn for days. No, this one felt different. Sharp. Dangerous. Like the smile of someone who has nothing left to lose. I knew what I had to do. But here's the thing, I wasn't going to just cut her off. That would have been too easy. No, I wanted her to feel it. To taste the collapse. To watch her shiny new world crumble piece by piece. So I waited until the perfect moment. And when it came, I moved. I withdrew everything. Every cent. Every dollar. I locked the account tighter than a vault. Courses. Gone. Applications. Cancelled. Her digital ladder to success. Kicked out from under her. It felt liberating. For the first time in years, the money I earned wasn't bleeding into her life. For the first time, it was mine. And as I closed the laptop that night, a strange calm washed over me. She thought she had erased me. But I wasn't gone. I was right there, in the shadows, pulling strings she didn't even know existed. And soon, very soon, she was going to find out what it felt like to stand on nothing. You know that saying, revenge is a dish best served cold? Whoever said it, they were right. Because when I finally pulled the plug on her world, I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the screaming, shaking way I was after the graduation. No, this was different. This was cold. Surgical. Like a surgeon holding a scalpel over rotten flesh. I sat there, staring at the confirmation screen, withdrawal successful. The account was empty. Her future was gone in a single click. But I didn't stop there. I went further. Every auto payment she had set up, deleted. Every subscription, cancelled. The kind of cancellations you can't just restart with a phone call. No, she'd have to start from scratch. And scratch feels a lot deeper when your nails are already broken. At first, I wondered how long it would take her to notice. A week? A few days? Turns out, not long at all. 3 nights later, my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. I stared at it for a long time, my thumb hovering over the green button. Part of me wanted to let it ring out, let her stew in confusion and panic. But another part of me, darker, sharper, wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear the cracks in her perfect voice. So I answered. Brother. Her voice was small. Desperate. Nothing like the confident woman who had thrown me out on graduation day. I didn't speak. I just let her scramble. Something's wrong with the account, she said, her breath shaky. I can't access the courses. My applications, they're all gone. Everything's being rejected. I don't understand. Please, did you do something? I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence stretch until I could feel her panic spilling through the line. Finally, I spoke. Calm. Measured. Deadly. Yes. I did. She gasped. Why? Why would you do that? Don't you want me to succeed? After everything? Those words, after everything, ignited something in me. After everything? She had the audacity to play the victim now. I kept my voice steady, though. No yelling. No trembling. Just ice. I used my account, I said, for an investment. There was a pause. An investment? Yes. I let the silence sit for a moment, then I delivered the cut. An investment that won't betray me in the future. The line went quiet. I imagined her face, the dawning realization, the collapse of her pride. Then, the begging started. Brother, please. I was wrong. I didn't mean what I said that day. I was nervous, my friends were watching, please, I need this. If I lose these opportunities, I'll have nothing. Please. Each word was drenched in tears. And maybe once, long ago, that would have broken me. Maybe I would have given in, wiped her tears, told her it was all okay. But not anymore. You had nothing once before, I said. And I gave you everything. And you threw me away. I didn't mean to, she cried. I was stupid, I didn't think, please, give me one more chance. I'll make it right, I swear. Her words twisted like knives in the air, but I felt nothing. No pity. No forgiveness. Just clarity. I already gave you a chance, I said. I gave you my life. My dreams. My future. And you burned it all for applause. There was silence on the other end. I could hear her sobbing softly, struggling to breathe. I waited. Then I ended it. Good luck finding someone else to invest in you. Goodbye. And with that, I hung up. The phone slipped from my hand onto the desk. My chest rose and fell slowly. For the first time in years, I felt light. Not happy, no, happiness wasn't part of this. But free. Because in that moment, I wasn't her stepping stone anymore. I wasn't her lifeline, her crutch, her invisible shadow. I was me. And she? She was nothing without me. When I hung up the call, the silence in my room was deafening. Not the kind of silence that crushes you, no. This one was different. This silence, it was freedom. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. For the first time in years, I wasn't worrying about deadlines for tuition payments, or bills she might slip under my nose, or the weight of someone else's future on my shoulders. That chain had snapped. And yet, I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. Revenge doesn't give you fireworks. It gives you something heavier, something colder, closure. The days that followed were interesting. At first, I ignored her. Calls. Texts. Emails. All begging, bargaining, pleading. Brother, please, I'll make it up to you. I didn't mean those words, I was just scared. Just help me with this one last payment, and I swear I'll repay you. I didn't reply. Not once. And then, the tone shifted. The begging turned to anger. You're selfish. You want to see me fail, don't you? After everything I've done for you. I laughed when I read that one. Everything she'd done for me. The audacity was almost amusing. Almost. But anger didn't last long either. Eventually, her messages turned into silence. And silence, I realized, was proof that the collapse had begun. I started hearing things through the grapevine. Mutual acquaintances. Old neighbors. They said she was struggling. Jobs she thought she had lined up suddenly disappeared. Courses she bragged about on social media. Gone. Her friends, the same ones who laughed at me outside the graduation hall, started drifting away when her shine dimmed. I should have felt pity. Maybe once, I would have. But not anymore. No, watching her fall wasn't about satisfaction. It was about balance. The universe finally righting itself. And as for me, I finally turned that money inward. Into myself. I enrolled in a small business course, something I'd always wanted to do but never had the chance. I upgraded my tools, bought myself decent clothes, even fixed the hole in my shoes. Slowly, I began to build a life that was mine. Not a life of sacrifice. A life of ownership. It wasn't easy, don't get me wrong. Years of giving everything away had left me with scars that no amount of money could heal. But every step I took toward myself felt like a victory. And here's the part one want you to understand: revenge isn't about destroying the other person. Not really. It's about reclaiming the part of yourself they stole. My sister thought I would always be her shadow. Always silent, always giving, always invisible. But now she has to live with the truth: the man she erased is the same man who pulled the ground out from under her. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if she hates me. If she lies awake cursing my name. Or maybe she regrets it. Maybe she replays that graduation day in her head, the way I once did, and wonders what might have been different if she had chosen to honor me instead of humiliate me. But I don't waste too much time on those thoughts. Because the truth is, I don't care anymore. She taught me a hard lesson: family can betray you deeper than any stranger. And once they do, there's no going back. So no, I don't hate her. I don't love her either. I feel nothing. And that, my friend, is the sweetest revenge of all. Because she still has to live with what she lost. And me? I've finally learned how to live without her. And that's my story. A story of sacrifice, betrayal, and revenge. Now I want to hear from you. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have forgiven her, or walked away like I did? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'll be reading them. If this story hit you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more stories like this, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.